mentioning in my weekly email and in the announcements over the last few Sundays that about a month ago, I found myself alone on Open Church Wednesday and thought I would play the piano for a little while. You've probably heard this before, but I'll tell you again. And while I was playing, a young homeless man with a guitar strapped to his chest came in and asked if he could play with me. So we played together for several minutes. Then he shook my hand and introduced himself before leaving. And the idea of playing music during part of Open Church was born. As I shared the idea with others, it felt as if the Spirit was prompting us to do something a little different. It still feels good to tell the story. That first day, there were just the two of us. The next Wednesday, while Diana L. and I played together, she on recorder, me on the piano, 4 high school kids wandered in, sat down in the back pew, and listened to us for 10 minutes or so. And this last Wednesday, a smiling middle-aged woman wandered in, excuse me, as Mara was playing the guitar, Diana was playing the recorder, I was playing the drum, and Nancy G. was meditating with our music in the background. We were sight reading, so it wasn't terribly polished, but we had fun. Then the woman told us that she had been raised in the church, but had never been in an Episcopal church. She appreciated our music and the loveliness of our stained glass windows. But she also stated that she no longer believes in God, so she doesn't think she'll be coming back to church. So Mara, in her best Episcopal evangelism style, said that sometimes doubting is a good place to be. And Nancy brought her a brochure and pointed out that my sermons are on YouTube. She was a vibrant woman, and we were all thrilled to meet her, but we will likely not see her again. It felt a little frustrating because we have been sharing our gifts, and people have been responding each week, but I've also been sharing my sermons and special music on YouTube for almost 6 years, and provide a link each week from the church's Facebook page. And as I started as the administrator of the church Facebook page, we had about 15 likes, or people who said that they like our page. That number has grown to over 200 people in 6 years. And admittedly, some of those people are my family and friends, or people outside our area, but still, there are a lot of local people who often listen and respond. And so far, I don't know of one person who's come to worship with us on a Sunday because of the sermons or the weekly emails or special music we share on social media. Sometimes it's discouraging. And Jesus says in today's gospel lesson, if you lend to those from whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? His words hit me hard as I find myself wishing that some of the people with whom we've shared our music or with whom I've shared on Facebook might come on a Sunday and visit us in all of our hospitality and genuine love for each other. I mean, look at us. But that would be expecting something in return. And Jesus says, love your enemies, do good, and lend, expecting nothing in return. If there's an overarching theme to today's extended All Saints Gospel, it is giving. Give love, even to enemies. Give blessings. Give prayers. Give yourself. Give the benefit of the doubt. Give mercy. Give acceptance and non-condemnation. Give forgiveness. Give money. Give without expectation of return. Give what you have to give, and your reward will be great. Give, give, give. At our last clergy conference, theologian Miroslav Volf spoke of giving and forgiving. He mentioned 3 modes of human interaction: taking, trading, and giving. Taking is just what it sounds like: stealing, seeking revenge, bullying, attempting to remove something valuable from someone, even that person's sense of self-worth. Trading is transactional. Things are earned. You give to me and I give you back something of equal value. There's also the justice of retribution, making the criminal pay for an offense. Finally, the purpose of giving, according to both, is to simply bring others joy. He notes that every gift is a risk, irrational, like the irrationality of love. The question, why do you love me, is really unanswerable. And since God is love with a capital L, God's love is indiscriminate. It doesn't depend on what kind of person I am. God never stops loving. God loves me, so I don't need to try to make myself pretty and acceptable to God. As Martin Luther once said, God's love doesn't find the lovable, but it creates the lovable. We might also say that God is giver with a capital G. All good things that we have ever been given, from our first breath to our last, are given to us by God. Wolff also reminds us in his book, Free of Charge, Giving and Forgiving in a Culture Stripped of Grace, that God is not a trader. He says, God gives. On the cross, God is not setting up the terms of a contract that humans need to fulfill in order to get what they want. Neither is God saying on the cross, I died for you, now you've got to do what I tell you. God's goods are not for sale. You can't buy them with money or good deeds. God doesn't make deals. He adds that God is also not like popular culture thinks of Santa Claus. A Santa Claus God demands nothing of us. Unlike Santa, God doesn't just scatter gifts, smiling in blissful affirmation of who we are and what we do, no matter who we happen to be and what we happen to do. God also urges us to do this or not to do that. God generously gives. So God is not a negotiator of absolute dimensions. God demands. And so God is not an infinite Santa Claus. A Santa Claus God gives simply so that we can have and enjoy things. The true God gives so that we can become joyful givers and not just self-absorbed receivers. God the giver has made us to be givers and obliges us, therefore, to give. To live in sync with who we truly are means to recognize that we are dependent on God for our very breath and are graced with many good things. It means to be grateful to the giver and attentive to the purpose for which the gifts are given. Diocesan convention is always an experience of the abundance of God's gifts. And I most appreciate hearing on the last day from the youth in the diocese who are coming to know the grace of God and to experience opportunities to make things right for the first time, opportunities for justice. God's community revealed at Camp Living Waters, where some of our students go. The opportunities for service for Lutheran Episcopal Volunteer Network for young adults. The cries for justice and reconciliation heard by those who travel on the Lift Every Voice and Pathways events in parts of our state, our country, and other parts of the world. This time, we were also privileged to hear the humble wisdom of our much-loved former diocesan bishop, Jeri Gray-Reneberg, who gave us a picture of his life since he left us, being sent to Nevada by presiding Bishop Catherine Jefferts Shorey, then to the Diocese of San Joaquin to work in reconciling and supporting that diocese as things fell apart when the bishop at the time left the Episcopal Church. times, when people get up to speak at convention, it is to give a sort of pat on the back to all ministries that are doing well. But Jeri spoke in great humility of his struggles in trying times, sharing a story of being stalked by people who heartily disagreed with what he was trying to do to help the people who were left when many in that diocese left the church. He said that he came out of a store once, and making his way over to the Toyota Corolla he was driving, he noticed that a Mercedes-Benz that he passed was papered with flyers commenting on the actions of the National Episcopal Church. But his own Corolla was free of the propaganda, because those who placed them on the wrong car simply couldn't imagine that Bishop Jerry Lamb would drive such a vehicle. But my favorite thing that he said as he was concluding was that his German grandmother used to ask him the question, how do we give thanks for all God's gifts to us? She said, you show thanks and live thanks by what you do with the gift. If you put it away, is that really what it's for? Or do you use it appropriately? Do you use it to bring other people into relationship with each other and with God? Today, on All Saints Sunday, we give thanks for the gifts of all God's saints and for our own. We ask for God's guidance in using those gifts to bring other people into relationship with each other and with God. Gifts of love and mercy, of time, of blessings and prayers, of material goods and of money. We hear Jesus promise that what we give will be given back to us and to others through us. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into our lap. For the measure we give will be the measure we get back. I'll remember that next Wednesday. No expectations, just the opportunity to give, because any gift I have received, including music, can be used as God would have me use it, to bring other people into relationship with each other and with God. A relationship that lasts through time and beyond. Maybe you can use that reminder too. A blessed All Saints Sunday to you. Amen.